is going on, folks? Welcome to the Set It Off Network. I am your host, Michael Sedetall. I am here with my colleague, Will Volk. Don't worry about what he's wearing. We already had this discussion. I really can't control what he does. But welcome in. Glad to have you guys. We are here. We have a jam-packed show for you guys. It is week 7, probably the most loaded slate of games we've had to date. I mean, a couple weeks ago, we had a big slate. But this weekend feels like the depth is there. From top to bottom, you could pick. It was tough previewing this show because there was easily 10 to 12 games that we could have previewed. But we stuck with 5, and then we're going to go over a little bit at the end. But we're going to stick to the big games and our personal 5 games. And if you're looking and you're probably watching this and you're probably wondering why we're not talking about LSU South Carolina, being that it is such a huge week for me and William on the show as the hated rivals go at it this weekend in South Carolina and LSU. That video is live on our YouTube now. Go check that out. About 30 minutes we talked about South Carolina, LSU, talked about 2 pretty bad football teams. So y'all are going to want to talk about that and check that out on our YouTube page. But let's jump right into the biggest game of week 7, and that is Indiana hitting the road to take on Oregon. Thank you guys for watching today's video. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and the YouTube channel and following us on all of our socials.
Please do what he said. Thanks.
The Fighting Dan Lannings, I have a personal thing with Dan Lanning going on right now where that is my boy, all right? And Kirk Cignetti and that whole FCS, whatever he did with the scheduling thing, kind of rubbed me the wrong way in the offseason. So I'm not on the big Indiana train right now. But this game's sitting at about 7.5 right now. Oregon's favored, which feels like a big number because, honestly, what we've seen out of Indiana this year feels completely different than the Indiana we saw last year. We've already seen them take down an Illinois team in dominant fashion, which turns out Illinois is pretty freaking good. So how are you feeling about Indiana and Oregon? A weird thing to say this is a Big Ten matchup, but a big one out on the West Coast this weekend.
Weird to say it's a Big Ten matchup, and also weird to say that this appears to be the biggest game of the weekend. College game day is going to be there. It's a top 10 matchup. Red River was looking like it'd be the biggest game, but then Texas did what they did last week. Indiana, you mentioned their FCS schedule. Sure, they scheduled some pretty weak opponents to start off the season. We saw another Big Ten team, Penn State, do that. The difference between Penn State and Indiana, Indiana gets into conference play and they knock off some impressive wins. What they did against Illinois, that really opened a lot of people's eyes. And you're not wrong. This Indiana team feels a lot different than last year. And I kind of am agreeing with you. 7.5 points seems like too much. I think this is going to be a competitive game. I know it's not easy going up to Eugene and playing, and I know Dan Lanning's probably going to have Oregon ready, but I just have a feeling this is going to be a closer game than what that would say.
Yeah, these are 2 head coaches that like to talk in the media. They like to Kirk Cignetti was on the record talking about Illinois and was able to back it up. And Dan Lanning, we all know the stories behind Dan Lanning. You just got to keep your mouth shut the week you're playing Oregon. But this is going to be an intriguing game, and not only because of the 2 head coaches and their personalities, but the 2 quarterbacks, right? We have 2 first-time starters at their programs, right? Both of them transferred in. We have Frankie Mendoza coming in from Cal, who's leading the Big Ten in touchdowns right now, had 16 touchdowns, only 1 interception. And then everybody kind of found out about Dante Moore and his talents in the Penn State game. And while the numbers didn't jump off at the screen at you, he played extremely well. Outplayed Drew Allar, which honestly isn't that hard these days. But he is another guy that is super ultra talented, former 5-star. But these 2, I would say probably right now, 2 best quarterbacks in the Big Ten for sure. And that's what sells, Will. That's box office stuff that we look for. That's what this game feels like is going to come down to, is which quarterback plays a little bit better. Now, Mendoza has a tough test playing at Oregon. That is not a fun environment to go into and win. Dante Moore, obviously, with the edge there with the home field advantage. But it really feels like the two quarterbacks are going to headline. Is going to be the headline you're going to read Sunday morning on who wins this football game, is who played better between these two quarterbacks.
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree with you. Hey, how about this? There are only three undefeated teams left in the Big Ten, two of them playing right here. And then you look at the schedules for Indiana and Oregon after this game. Neither one of these teams has to play a team that's currently ranked the rest of the season after this. So, I mean, you could always flip up against one of those teams later in the year, but I kind of got this feeling whoever wins this game, you can pretty much pencil them into the playoff. I mean, it feels like this is kind of a playoff game in mid-October here, like at least a play-in game.
Yeah, it definitely feels like whoever wins this football game is kind of set in stone in the whole Big Ten championship thing. So it's kind of one of those games, man. It's really big. It's really early in the season still. We still honestly feel like we don't really know much about these two teams. Granted, they've been tested. Obviously, Oregon going on the road, Penn State whiteout, that's super impressive. And then I personally think Illinois is a really good football team, a very veteran team that won 10 games last year. And what Indiana was able to do to them was ultra impressive and kind of changed my whole mind and perspective about the Indiana team this year. Because I was like you know, going into this game, you're really thinking it's just same old Indiana. They're going to just kind of beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. But I mean, they have a real shot. I mean, to arguably be a top two, top three team after this weekend, if they can go on the road and beat Oregon, I mean, they put themselves in the driver's seat for the Big Ten. And then you obviously have that Ohio State factor, which neither one of these teams plays Ohio State. But this feels like the two other teams that are going to compete with Ohio State in this football game are. I mean, you look. I mean, Oregon has yet to lose a Big Ten game since they've been in the league. Right? They're sitting at 11-0,
Wild stuff.
11
Yep.
straight Big Ten wins, and then you have Indiana who lost one game last year in the Big Ten. So, I mean, arguably, record wise, these have been the two best teams. In the Big Ten over the last year, outside of Ohio State and what they were able to do with their national championship. But as far as the regular season comes, nobody has won more than these two teams. Will.
Yep, and I mean, like you mentioned, Ohio State. Neither one of these teams play them, and you kind of feel like the Buckeyes probably going to get to Indianapolis, but who they play, and it might be the winner of this game who ends up matching up with them. You still have Michigan out there. Some other team could rise up. You feel like Penn State has been completely eliminated after what happened last weekend. So just massive, massive game coming up this weekend.
Yeah, and to our picks and predictions, I'm going to start us off. I mean, the spread is 7.5. That number feels a little high to me. I do feel like if Oregon is going to get got during the regular season, this is it, right? We find out that Indiana is a real player in this thing. And I really think even if they play a competitive game, it's going to go a long way for them in the season to kind of prove to people and change that narrative that they aren't just a team that's kind of coasting through a schedule this year. Like they are for real. I think their quarterback is legit. And like I said, if Oregon's going to get got, it's going to be this weekend. So I'm going to take Indiana to cover, but I am going to take Oregon to win. I just think that home field advantage at Oregon is just going to be too much. I love Dante Moore and what he's doing right now, playing very confident football. And that Oregon team is ultra talented, and I think that's going to win out in the end.
Your head tells you Oregon's going to win this game, right? They're at home, and Indiana has not traditionally been, a power. And Oregon, I mean, they had a big win against Penn State, right? Penn State not looking as good, so I don't know. But you know me, I don't really think with my head, I think with my heart. And my heart loves that underdog story. Indiana feels like the underdog in this situation. Of course, they had that big win over Illinois. Was that more of a like Illinois didn't play that well, and if they played again tomorrow, it would be a heck of a lot closer. I don't know, but Indiana. I'm taking Indiana to win outright. I do think 7.5 is too many points, But also wouldn't surprise me if Oregon blew the doors off of them. We're gonna have to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it would be huge news. I think if Indiana were to able to that you talk about like a program defining like trajectory type win. If
Mm-hmm.
Indiana were to find a way to win this football game, I mean, the program, I mean, would reach heights that it's never seen. I think in their history. I don't know if they've ever been this good. So that would be interesting to see. The next football game, we're going to talk about here, Will, is Alabama after their back-to-back big wins, right? Because you can't sleep on Vanderbilt now. That's considered a big win, I think.
It is,
Back-to-back
yeah.
win against Georgia and Vanderbilt, and now the ultimate trap game. It feels like for them, going on the road facing a team off a bye week in Missouri. This feels like a dangerous spot for the Crimson Tide after two very emotional weeks as far as like the preparation for Georgia and then all the emotions that went into the Vanderbilt thing, college game day there. This game's at noon kickoff on ABC, which is kind of crazy how a top 15 matchup got selected as the noon game. But Alabama hitting the road, only a 2.5 point favorite as of right now. Started off a little bit higher than that, all the way down to less than a field goal. So, how do you see Alabama hitting the road to Missouri? It feels like this is a lackadaisical like type thing coming. It just has all the makings to like Alabama not showing up. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. As far as the noon thing goes, this is just a byproduct of the SEC setting those windows ahead of the season, and this one was designated as a noon window. I don't know if they thought this would be a top 15 matchup, but we have it. Missouri, it's a 2.5 point line. Alabama barely favored in this one, and I agree with that. I think Missouri's a good team. They beat a really good South Carolina Gamecocks team a few weeks ago and now undefeated, getting the Crimson Tide in their building. For Alabama, this is just the middle of a heck of a run for them with the big win at Georgia, the big win over Vanderbilt. And then you look ahead, you're going to have Tennessee, third Saturday of October, at home the next week. So you're not wrong. This is kind of in the middle here. And, it's 11 a.m. Central Time. They're on the road. Weird things can happen in this slot. I'm still not very high on Alabama. They've done some impressive things lately. And Kalen DeBoer is good playing ranked opponents, and they have another one here in Missouri. But I guess I think I'm going to bet against the Crimson Tide again and probably get proven wrong again. But I don't know. I like
Yeah,
Mizzou in this spot.
Kalen DeBoer and ranked opponents, man. As long as you keep lining up all these teams and they have a
And they've,
number next to their name, I'm taking Kalen DeBoer, man.
they've
Because I
lined
mean
up a lot of them.
that's all he does. That's all he does. It'll be 3 straight weeks, 3 straight ranked wins. His only loss is going to be to an unranked Florida State team as of right now. So I mean, kind of fitting the narrative here. But with Alabama, I think it's Ty Simpson, and the football that Ty Simpson has been playing lately has been at an elite level. Like he was so good against Georgia, and he was so good against Vanderbilt. He is clearly taken that next step after that Florida State game. And even without a run game against Georgia, he was able to do things. And then it was nice for Alabama fans, I think, to finally see them get a run game going against Vanderbilt and kind of dominate that second half. I think getting Jam Miller back at that running back spot has been a big help to that. But yeah, man, I'm super impressed with Ty Simpson. And, these games come down to quarterback play, and it's do you trust Bo Perbula, the kid from Penn State? That transferred into Missouri, or do you trust Ty Simpson? And right now, it feels like Ty Simpson is one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. So it's hard for me to not put my faith in him, put my faith in Kalen DeBoer against ranked teams. And I don't know, man. It feels like a letdown spot, but I just feel like the way Ty Simpson's playing and with the confidence that Alabama is kind of playing with, maybe if Alabama was undefeated, I'd honestly feel a little bit less, worried. But it's like that game that they lost kind of hit the reset for them, and guys in that building kind of bought back in and to the goals. And I think that's going to go a long way for Alabama, not just this week, but for the rest of the season. So, I mean, this is a team I picked to win the SEC. So everything's still in front of them with that non-conference loss, and this is just another test in the another notch in the belt for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Are they going to be able to get it done on Saturday? I think so. I think they're going to win, and obviously, I think if they're going to win, I think they're going to cover the 2.5 point spread. So
Yeah, hey, we saw this in the Nick Saban era. Some of his best teams were teams that took a loss and then bounced back from that. And I mean, so far, seems like that's what Kalen DeBoer has his Crimson Tide doing. But just a gauntlet, you know. They're in the middle of it. They got at Mizzou, Tennessee, at South Carolina. I personally don't believe that's going to be easy. You got LSU. I mean, just a run. Oh no, I moved my mic. A run of great opponents there. I think they're going to slip up again at some point, and why not this weekend against Mizzou? It's on the road, 11 a.m. I see it.
man, you got some balls this week, man. Going against Dan Lanning and Kalen DeBoer against ranked teams. That's not a recipe for success for a lot of people. So I credit you for putting that out on the airways. That's what you're doing this week. But
This ain't the
um,
first time I've gone against him either, right? I've
yeah, I was
gone
about to
against
say
Kalen DeBoer a lot.
it's backfired on you so far the
Yep.
last couple weeks. But you know what? Just keep hitting the nail. Eventually, you're gonna drive that thing into the ground, man.
What is
Um,
that? Broken clocks, right? At least twice a day kind of thing.
exactly. We got a lot of weeks left, a lot of weeks to pick against Alabama. I don't think they're gonna go undefeated the rest of the year, Will. So you got a
Mm-mm.
chance if you just keep picking them.
I think
Um,
they lose two more games at least, to be
two more
honest.
games. I know you think they're gonna lose to LSU and South Carolina. That's crazy.
South Carolina, I mean, at Auburn in an odd numbered year, that's always tricky. LSU, Tennessee, I mean, all kinds of games they can lose.
Well, this next game we're going to talk about is not quite as marquee as the last two games we talked about, but definitely still a big game, I think, in the Big Ten. Kind of going to find out a lot about Illinois this week, and that is the Ohio State Buckeyes, the AP's number one team in the country, not the Set It Off Rankings number one team in the country. But they are hitting the road to Champaign, Illinois to take on the Fighting Illini. And that is big noon kickoff as well. So Missouri, Alabama at noon, this game at noon should be a fun window. This spread is up to like 15 and a half, or I mean, it's like it's been sitting at 16, between 16 and 14 and a half in that range. We're just going to call it a good 14 and a half right now. But Ohio State favored in this game, obviously off to an undefeated start with big wins against Texas, going on the road to Washington, doing what they did. Do you realize that Ohio State has only given up 2 freaking touchdowns this season?
It's wild. They haven't let a single opponent score double digits, and they've played 5 games already.
Yeah, and that's Matt Patricia. Like, Penn State steals Ohio State's coordinator, right? Jim Knowles. They go on the road and give up 40 to UCLA, who lost to two G5 teams and had an offensive coordinator that didn't even know how to work the freaking headset, right? So they go on, and then they just go pick up Matt Patricia, elite NFL defensive coordinator back in his days with the Patriots, the Lions, all that stuff. Just pick him up and then just become the most dominant defense in college football. Like, it's no big deal. It's just Ohio State. We got the athletes, just needed somebody to tell them what to do. And boy, have they delivered. Because you want to talk about, we kind of talked about this again with the Washington game too. The whole Julian Sayin experience is a lot easier to navigate when you play defense like that, because there is like no pressure on this kid to go out there and score. I mean, he can literally just they can play this thing as conservative as can be. And I don't know how the heck Illinois finds a way to win this football game. I haven't even drawn up that scenario in my mind to where Illinois finds a way to upset Ohio State, because I just feel like stylistically they don't match up well against them. And we've already seen them get blown out as well at home. But I mean, if you're Illinois, if you don't do it this week, you're not going to do it. So, I mean, this is a big test for them. This is kind of their last hurrah as far as like proving to the country, like, hey, we want to contend for the Big Ten championship. Because if they don't win this football game and they get blown out again, it's going to be rough. And you're going to just be right back in that second tier, down there with the Nebraskas and the Michigans and all them peoples. But yeah, this game feels like it's a lot more about Ohio State kind of asserting their dominance again than it does feel like about Illinois pulling an upset.
I'd agree with that. And speaking to Illinois, this feels like this is their last chance to, make something out of this season and to fulfill all those high expectations they had going in. Because you look at their schedule after this: Washington, Rutgers, Maryland, Wisconsin, Northwestern. Where's your opportunity to get a big statement win? Not one. So you got to do something against Ohio State. Your other really big game against Indiana, you lose by more than 50 points. After that, I was pretty much done with Illinois. I was like, this team, they're not going to do anything. But, they have beaten a couple teams that I think are respectable. USC winning against them in dramatic fashion. And then Purdue, who I was high on to start the year, but they haven't looked as good as of late. 2-3 now, right? But I think Ohio State is gonna continue to put up a heck of a defensive effort. Can Illinois even score double digits? I don't know. As good as that Ohio State defense has been playing. And I know I like to ride with the underdogs, but this isn't one of those situations. I think Ohio State's gonna cover here.
Yeah, this has bug meat windshield all over it, Will. Like this could get ugly. Like this really feels like the first time Ohio State's going to be on that national stage since they played Texas, and it's going to be one of those where it's like, hey, we're going to show everybody kind of like we still kind of run things around here. So not ideal situation for Illinois. So that kind of gives away our picks right there. Obviously, I'm taking Ohio State to win. I'm taking Ohio State to cover. I think it's going to be bad. I think it could be in the 4 touchdown range. I just don't. I mean, what is the number that Illinois' defense is going to have to hold Ohio State to get a win? Like, I mean, I'm looking at this game and I'm like, how the hell does Illinois score 20? Like if Illinois can score 20, do they have a chance? I mean, maybe. I mean, but I feel like even that it's going to be have to be lower than that too. I mean, it's just I don't know. There's not a scenario in this world while I was previewing this game where I was like, wow, Illinois really has an advantage there or coaching edge, and it's like no, they're not in any way have any advantage over this Ohio State team. It is going to take Ohio State to play bad, I think, if Illinois wants to hang around in this game. So
Yep, and Ryan Day is great in Big Ten play, excluding Michigan. So, I think this is just going to be another routine win for the Buckeyes.
looking like it. All right, our next game. All right, we're almost done. Well, we're not almost done actually. We're gonna roll
Yeah,
back over to
this.
the power. We're gonna roll back to the other power two, and we're gonna roll with the SEC. And this felt like the headlining game. Will it felt like it, man? You looked at the preseason, uh, and the way people were talking about Oklahoma and the way people were talking about Texas. And boy, has that flipped. I got to credit our guy, Josh Pate, right? Because he drew out a scenario earlier in the preseason about what if there was a world where Texas is 3-2 and Oklahoma is undefeated going into the Red River Rivalry, and everybody laughed at him, everybody mocked him. Somebody in this chat as well predicted Texas to struggle as well and be 9-3 this year, and lose games to Florida and Ohio State to start the year. But this game has really turned on its ear. Will I mean you have a top 6 team in Oklahoma, 5-0. We still kind of don't know the status of John Mateer going into this football game, so that
Mhm.
makes it a little bit more interesting. But I think the biggest interest was the fact that Texas is favored in this football game, a 2.5 point favorite. And it's simply because Texas is more talented. I mean, Texas has one of the most talented rosters in college football, and that's going to give them the benefit of the doubt almost until it isn't. So they sit as a 2.5 point favorite, but man, if you're the Texas Longhorns, you need this football game. Like this is DEFCON
Do
5.
or
Like
die.
you have to win this football game if you want to chase any of those dreams that you had in the preseason. You cannot go 3-3 to start this football season. So it is a 10 on the panic meter for the Longhorns this week, and it is a must win as must win gets for the Texas Longhorns. And it should be a fun game though. I'm really hoping John Mateer plays, and I'm hoping we get to see a really good, exciting game. This is always one of the best games in college football, one of the bigger rivalries in college football, and this is what the second year it's been in the SEC as a conference game. So it should be a fun game. It should be an exciting game. It seems like it's going to be a close game. So, what are you feeling about Texas and OU this weekend in Dallas?
Oh man, so we've had some. I'm just looking back at the history of this rivalry. There have been some really close games lately, and then you've also had a couple blowouts by Texas the last two of the last 3 years. And I mean, I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. I don't really trust Texas after what happened last week, especially. It's been a rough start to the year. Still looking for that first win over a Power Four team. Oh man, and it's wild too. They went from top 10 all the way now out of the rankings, just like that. The big question I have is John Mateer going to be playing for Oklahoma? And I feel like that's going to be a big difference maker in this game. We've seen this Mateer guy do a lot of special things on the field so far this season already. And I think he's going to be a big difference maker, whether he's in or not. Trying to think, because that was the Auburn game when that happened, right? With this
Mm-hmm.
injury. They played Kent State, and I think they've had a bye week since then. Something like that, right? I'm not sure. Maybe they didn't have a bye week. Either way, they haven't
They
played a
did.
real. They did? Okay. Either way, they haven't played a real SEC opponent since then. So, hoping he can play. I want to see, Oklahoma at full strength taking on Texas at full strength and just see what happens. Feels like a close game, but I don't think Texas being favored. I don't see it. I guess you're right about them having the talent edge, and that's why they do it. But I'm thinking Oklahoma, and I'm hoping Oklahoma wins because Oklahoma plays South Carolina the following week, and I've seen teams after a loss come back inspired and refocus the next week. And I don't want Oklahoma to be doing that against the Gamecocks. So, Boomer
Yeah,
Sooner,
that's
baby.
crazy. You didn't feel that way when we were talking about LSU coming off a loss, though. But
Yeah.
that's a topic for another video. But yeah.
Okay.
So I feel like this is a must-win spot for Texas. I feel like I'm gonna pick Texas. I don't know why. There's no logic. There's no rhyme or reason. I don't care if John Mateer plays or not. This is like Texas had to walk in the building Sunday morning and look themselves in the mirror and say, we have to figure this thing out because if we don't, it's going to be too late. The Arch Manning experience has not gone well. 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions so far. Not to mention, he got sacked 5 times last week against Florida. But the
Hmm.
biggest concern last week against Florida was the fact that this defense just let Florida run the football all over them. This was supposed to be one of the better defenses in the league. So a little manhood challenge this week with Oklahoma and John Mateer. If he's playing, he's a dual threat guy. He can run the football. But man, I like Texas in this football game. I think they're going to go into Dallas, and I think they're going to win this football game because it is that important of a football game for them. And I think Oklahoma has some wiggle room. I wouldn't be shocked if Oklahoma looked at this game. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they're not going out there trying to win, but it wouldn't surprise me if John Mateer is not 150% ready to go, that they don't just say, hey, let's sit this one out. We have a little bit of room to play with here. And at the end of the day,
It's
you can be like South Carolina, and you can just use the excuse that our quarterback didn't play for a half or whatever y'all tried to use last year, and you can just
and we're gonna have
bark
that
at
this
the
year too.
yeah, you can just bark at the committee and just be like, hey, our quarterback didn't play. That's why we lost to Texas. We would have won. You can always play the coulda, shoulda, woulda game like the South Carolina fans love to do. So I
But this
mean,
is Red River, man. This is Red River. This is Oklahoma's biggest game of the season because Bedlam doesn't exist anymore. So you
I
want
think
to win this
Oklahoma can
game.
compete, though. I think Oklahoma can compete without John Mateer. I think that the game would be close enough that they would make it respectable. But I just see, like I said, whether John Mateer plays or not, I'm picking Texas. Texas has to win this football game. And if I'm wrong about Texas this week, then we'll just go ahead and lock them in the closet where you used to do the show, and we'll bury them. They're gone forever. We're not going to talk about Texas anymore on this show. If they were to lose this weekend, that's it. The Texas train is gone off the rails. Yeah. At least Archman is not going to have to worry about the whole like, he needs to come back for whatever. No, he needs to come back because he sucks. All right, that's why he needs to come back. He ain't getting drafted. All right, that's why it's behind these. It's starting to make a lot of sense why Steve Sarkisian played Quinn Ewers over Arch Manning after all the noise he heard about. Hey, you got to play Arch Manning. Like Quinn Ewers isn't playing well. Well, he knew. Right, he knew what he had, and it's clear right now that Arch Manning is not playing good football. But he doesn't have to play great football. He just has to play good football. When you have a team like that and a team like Texas, you just got to be good. You don't have to be great. You just got to be Greg McElroy. All right, just be Greg McElroy, Arch. That's all you got to do is be Greg McElroy, and you can coach yourself to at least a playoff spot, I think. But yeah, I'm picking Texas. I'm picking Texas to win. Picking Texas to cover.
Hey, you're not wrong about this being must win for Texas. It feels like they already have one foot in the grave, and if they take one more loss, then it's all over. All their goals and dreams about conference title and playoff spot, all over. So they have to get it done if they want to salvage this season, for sure.
All right, the next and last SEC game we're going to talk about the South's oldest rivalry here. All right, big border war right here with Auburn and Georgia. This one's at Jordan Hare. Will we know crazy
Weird
things
things
happen
happen
when
there.
crazy things happen at Jordan Hare on what even years or odd years,
Odd years
odd,
when they get
odd years
Georgia
they
and
get Bama
Alabama.
and
Yep.
Georgia, which is a tough break for the even years for sure. But I looked at this number, Will, and when I saw that it was only a 3.5 point spread and Georgia was favored, I was shocked. I'm not gonna lie, because Auburn has shown me nothing the last couple weeks that shows that they could win any type of game that was competitive. I think Hugh Freeze is on his way out the door as the season goes along. But this is Georgia's test, man. This is another test for them. This is not an easy game. Well, we know, like you said, crazy things happen in Jordan Hare, and this is a talented Auburn team. Just the quarterback play for Auburn is lackadaisical, to say the least. But Georgia's going to have their hands full on Saturday. I have no doubt. This is a 7:30 kick, so a night game in Jordan Hare. Should be a wild atmosphere. Should be a crazy game. I think that kind of factors in. Heck, Jordan Hare might get like 3 points in a spread advantage for
Yeah,
just home field advantage.
have
So
you
I
seen like the
mean,
swag surfing videos they have there? It looks
I've been
very
there, man.
lit at a
I've been
night
there for
game.
that. That place gets rocking. I love going to Jordan Hare. One of my
And
favorite places in the SEC for sure.
and this game, like it would always be that CBS 3:30 game of the week, and now it's a night game, and for the first time, and I can't remember how long. So that's gonna add just that much more juice to that environment. It's gonna be something.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about it a little bit. The quarterback play for Auburn has not been great. Jackson Arnold comes over from OU, and Auburn just needs to figure out what they are offensively. It's not even like he's playing awful. Like I mean, they just need to figure out who they are. They have really good receivers, and Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton Jr. So it's not like they don't have the talent out wide. It's just they got to find a way for Jackson Arnold to get them the ball more efficiently. They can't just throw the ball 40 yards down the field every single time and just expect that to be how they get it done. And Georgia's defense, they're really good at stopping the run. So are you going to see a little bit more quarterback design runs out of Jackson Arnold? I think that's the key. If Auburn is going to pull the upset, that's kind of what it looks like. It looks like one of these ugly Auburn football games where it's really low scoring, kind of like the Oklahoma games were last year, where it's just kind of Jackson Arnold just scrambling, making plays, converting third downs, having long drives, time of possession type game. But this is going to be a tough environment. This is Gunnar Stockton's already went to Tennessee on the road. This will be a new animal, I think. But Gunnar Stockton's been playing extremely well for Georgia. Georgia in general has to figure out how to run the football more efficiently. That's been their kind of bugaboo over the last couple of years on why they've kind of, I don't want to say drop back because, I mean, they're still Georgia, but they haven't been that elite, no doubt type team just because they haven't been able to figure the offensive line out. They have a lot of moving pieces on the offensive line right now, and they've been struggling to run the football. So it's hard to win games. Me and you with our teams kind of know that firsthand, that if you can't really run the football, it makes it really hard on your offense. So I look for Georgia to have another tough time running the football against this Auburn team, which leaves the door open that Auburn could possibly get the upset.
I will say they kind of ran it well against Kentucky last week, so that was all right. But hey, for Auburn, this feels like maybe Auburn's in a similar situation how Florida was last week. Hugh Freeze, like Billy Napier, kind of trying to get this team really good because they're playing for his job basically. Gotta get it figured out. And Auburn 0-2 in SEC play. They need that big statement win. They get Georgia at home at night, but I mean the spread is 3.5 points, and I mean maybe they know something I don't, but I feel like that's so low. I gotta take Georgia in this situation. I think Georgia's gonna win and cover.
Yeah, I don't trust Auburn at all. I honestly, I sat here and thought about this game, and I was like, you know what? Like Auburn's in that, like you said, that same kind of desperate, really need to find a way to win one of these big games for Hugh Freeze to kind of keep him employed. But I just don't trust them at all. I don't think they have the quarterback edge. I just don't think they have the coaching edge, obviously. So I don't know. It's just not ideal. It's not ideal for Auburn. They're really the only thing they got going for them is Jordan Hare. And if Jordan Hare is crazy and it kind of rattles Georgia and they're able to stop Georgia from running the football, they got a chance. So, I mean, I could see a world where maybe they cover because it's just one of those ugly Georgia Auburn football games that's just close for no reason. But I don't see a world where Georgia lets this one slip out of their grasp. Even if it's ugly, it's going to be one of those where it's just like, hey, let's just get back on the bus back to Athens and regroup because that's a tough place to play, and you just kind of got to go with it. But yeah, I'm going to pick Georgia to win. I'm going to pick Georgia to cover. So don't let me down, Kirby, because I know Jordan Hare is crazy on a Saturday night, and it's going to be crazy on this Saturday because what do they play? They kept the Georgia rivalry right for next year, like
Georgia
that made
Auburn. Yep, that's
okay.
sticking around.
That's still going to be the annual thing, but man, it just I don't know, man. I don't see a world where Auburn wins this football game. It's kind of like the Illinois thing, not as extreme as Illinois because Illinois is
Mm-mm.
terrible, but Auburn's terrible as well. But Auburn has at least Jordan Hare on its side, so
I can
if
see the
they're
world where Auburn wins, but I can't see it with Illinois. But I'm still liking Georgia.
but it's ugly. It's ugly. Like if
Yeah,
Auburn wins this football game, it's an ugly game. Like it's Georgia kind of farted around a little bit, turned the football over, maybe got a couple bad breaks here and there. Like it is not. I'm not seeing a world where Auburn goes in there and just plays a clean football game and then walks out of here with like a
nah.
24-10 win, Like I don't see a world where that's happening. Like if they win this game, it's going to be like 19-17. Like it's going to be awful. But that's
Weird
what makes
odd
college
numbered
football
year
fun.
Jordan Hare stuff. That's what they
Yeah,
need.
that's what makes college football so great, and that's what makes this rivalry great because every year it feels like this game is close almost no matter what. So, yeah, that's how it's going to be. It's just Georgia's Georgia, Auburn's Auburn. They're going to do this every single year. So. All right, moving on to our last game, we're going to preview another Big Ten game, but this one's flying under the radar, Will. But these are two teams, middle of the pack right now, that really want to assert themselves as being contenders, and they have a huge opportunity. Now, I will say teams have not fared well when they go cross country in the Big Ten. That has been a big storyline this year. But Michigan hits the road, takes on USC. This is basically a pick 'em. Spread is at like 1.5 right now. Michigan and USC are two very similar teams. Both teams, 4-1 right now. USC obviously losing that game to Illinois. Michigan has yet to lose a Big Ten game, so they have that going for them. But man, USC is one of those teams that I really like. I really like the way they play. I really like how they've adopted a defensive mindset for the first time in Lincoln Riley's career. They have really adopted and fed off of this defense for USC, and people don't really think about that when they think about USC football. So I expect this game to be super low scoring. I expect these two teams to play well. I think USC has the quarterback in Jaden Maiava. They have the advantage there. A guy who's played extremely well. He played extremely well against Illinois. Just the defense kind of let him down there at the end. But this should be a very fun and entertaining game. Two of the biggest brands in the sport, so a lot of eyes are going to be on this game. This is the 7:30 NBC game, but out there on the West Coast, it's going to be a little bit still daylight, so not really a night game, kind of, sort of for our East Coast people. But what do you think about this game? This game has slugfest written all over it. I feel like with Michigan and SC.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I don't have too many thoughts on this because I'm not that familiar with both of these teams. But Michigan, they've got Sharon Moore back now. I think they got him back for this Wisconsin game last weekend, and pretty good win for them. They're getting it together, and big time opportunity for the Wolverines going over there to USC. If they win this game, things are looking good, and no more ranked opponents until they play Ohio State at the end of the year. So then the Wolverines are in a really good spot. USC you can look at from their perspective too. I don't think they do have Notre Dame coming up, but that's not a conference game. So USC, they get through this game and they're kind of in that Big Ten picture again. So just, big opportunity for both teams. And I love this matchup. Just USC, Michigan. That's one of those games that feels like a Rose Bowl matchup. And we're getting it here in the middle of October. So, I don't think this will necessarily be on one of my top TVs in that night window just because of everything else going on. But still,
Huge game in
should
that
be.
7:30, 7:45 window. It's going to
Yeah,
be
South
all the
Carolina,
attention.
LSU. I'm gonna be locked in. It's the
Biggest game of the
truth.
weekend. Not sure how College Game Day didn't make their way down there for that one,
Mm-hmm.
but no, this game, it feels like a quarterback game. Like I think I honestly really like USC in this game. I like USC to win and cover, but the world that I draw up for Michigan winning, when I go through the scenarios, is Bryce Underwood has his breakout game. Like this is the game where Bryce Underwood plays extremely well, and he's played extremely well so far this year. The stats don't really uh, pop out to you, but his receivers suck. Like legit, Michigan's receivers are awful. They don't catch the ball when they throw it. He throws a real fastball, and they don't catch it when he throws it to them. So he's working behind the eight ball there. But this USC team, I've talked about this Jaden Iowa kid and how he runs the Lincoln Riley offense, and he runs it just as good, if not better, than anybody that Lincoln Riley's ever had. So he runs it very efficiently. He doesn't turn the football over, which is always a big thing in these football games. And then, like I said, the whole West Coast, East Coast kind of thing that Michigan's going to have to hit the road and travel and play over there on the West Coast is never really ideal. So I got USC winning. I got USC covering. I think USC is going to win this game by at least a touchdown.
Well, I'm taking Michigan. I don't really know why. I'm just taking Michigan.
Great insight there.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna wrap up the Michigan USC one with that expertise right there. But
yeah.
a couple notable mentions. We're not gonna really go that far in depth. Will, I'm just gonna get your predictions and maybe a small thought on these games. You got a Big 12 matchup over there in Utah. Arizona State, the reigning Big 12 champs, going on the road to face Utah. Utah is a 4.5 point favorite right now. The Big 12 is the official wild, wild west of college football. Crazy things happen week in and week out in there, and I don't expect it to be any different this week. But how you feeling? Arizona State hitting the road to play a tough Utah team.
Let's see. Big 12 is the conference of chaos, and I think probably the thing that feeds chaos the most would be Utah winning at home against Arizona State, and then Arizona State going on to beat Texas Tech the next week. So, give me
Yeah, big
Utah at
weekend.
home.
Yeah,
Hmm?
I'm going to take Utah as well. I'm going to take Utah to win and cover. I just think playing at Utah is not a fun experience. Like that is one of the best home field environments. Very underrated. With everything they got going on there, that's going to be a tough one for Arizona State to win. The next game is a game we probably thought was going to be like preseason. We were 100% going to be previewing this game, but Florida, after their huge win against Texas, hits the road to face Texas's rival and Texas A&M, and a team that's undefeated, top 5 in the country right now. But Florida coming off of their biggest win and really looked like the Florida we all kind of expected. So, what are your thoughts on that one? It's an 8.5 point spread for A&M. I just feel like that's a big number. I think Florida's going to go in there and compete. I think they've kind of found themselves and established a little bit of an identity.
Yeah, call me crazy. I like Florida in this situation. It feels like deja vu last year with Florida getting a big win and kind of turning this thing around, except maybe it's happening in October instead of November this time. And Texas A&M, I still don't trust them because it feels like 9-3 is their ceiling. Maybe they finally got it turned around. They're going to have a special season, but I just think they're going to get some losses, and why not get one this Saturday night?
Yeah, this number feels extremely high. 8.5 feels like a big number for this game. I definitely think Florida's going to cover. I don't know if they got enough to pull it out because I really do like this A&M team. They've shown me time and time again, proven me wrong. What they did to Mississippi State in dominant fashion last week, going on
That
the
was
road to Notre
impressive.
Dame, going on the road to Notre Dame and doing what they did from what we've seen from Notre Dame the last couple weeks. Um, so I think A&M is for real, but I do think Florida has really found themselves. And I saw a meme today of Billy Napier, and it says Billy, and it was a picture of Nick Saban, and it said Billy Napier when he has to coach for his job. Because whatever happens, it's like, hey, if he doesn't win this weekend, he's getting fired. And all of a sudden, Billy turns into prime Nick Saban and he finds a way to win and keep his job. But is it just delaying the inevitable at this point? I don't know. Is he just going to continue to win and make Florida just continue to stick it out with him? I don't know. That is a weird situation going on down there in Florida. I don't even know what to say about that. I don't know if they're going to keep him. It's like one of those things where it's like, hey, if you're going to fire him, like you just need to fire him because he's going to continue to win, And if he continues to win, you're not going to be able to fire him. So it's a weird dynamic down there in Florida right now.
Yep, for sure.
So let's talk about our G5 game of the week, baby. Our favorite games to talk about because we love the G5 around here, and that is Friday Night Lights at its best, folks. We got USF, the Cinderella story of college football, facing a North Texas team that is undefeated. And not only are they undefeated, Will, they are favored in this football game.
Mm.
Going up, I don't know if this, I guess this is up, Denton, Texas. Did you even know where North Texas was? In Denton, Texas.
I figured
The
it's in
real,
northern Texas somewhere.
yeah, well, God, yeah, well, no shit.
Where is
Yeah.
Denton,
So,
Texas? I'm sorry to our viewers in
what
Denton, Texas. I'm looking it
what
up.
are you feeling? What are you feeling though with this USF and North Texas game? I think North Texas is going to win, man. I think North Texas
Wow.
got this one. I'm not gonna lie. I
I'm
like watching North Texas.
Denton, Texas is a city within the Dallas Fort Worth metro area. Okay, well, you learned something. As far as this game goes, South Florida, I was impressed with what they did to Florida. I was impressed with what they did to Boise State. And I thought this is a team that's got a really good chance of taking that group of five playoff spot. I still feel that way. I know Miami did what they did, but Miami, like, set it off rankings believe that that's the number one team in the country. So, sometimes that happens when you play really elite competition. Going on the road though, North Texas undefeated, and they could be primed to take that spot themselves. Mm, that's gonna be a close game, and we know that weird things happen on Friday nights. I think that's gonna be the case again in this one. But I like the Bulls. I've liked them since week one, so I think they're gonna win barely.
Yeah, I got North Texas winning, and yeah, this feels like two of the top contenders as of right now. That's why it's our G5 game of the week, and don't forget about Memphis sitting there undefeated, probably the other contender you're really got your eyes on right now. But yeah, that's our G5 game of the week, and that is going to wrap up our Week 7 preview show, and got a lot of information out there for you in a little amount of time. It felt like so. Thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate. I think we're definitely going to be doing a live show Saturday night, no matter what, with South Carolina LSU playing each other. Probably going to go live right after that game. So make sure you guys stick around, check that out. If you haven't already, make sure you go check out the LSU South Carolina preview, already up on our YouTube channel. And just, subscribe to the channel. We're running a promo. It's free. It doesn't sign you up for anything. It won't send you no emails. It won't be no spam. None of that stuff. All it does is help us out. It helps Will out. Will's trying to get out of his closet and into the studio. And I told him if we hit 1,000 subscribers, he is allowed to do one show from the studio at some point. So, do it. If not for me, do it for him. All right.
Hey, my birthday's coming up soon. That'd be a nice little present.
Yeah, it's his birthday. It's literally his birthday. So get us to 1,000 subscribers just for Will's birthday, and get him into the studio so he doesn't have to wear that stupid tie, so I could choke him next time he shows up to the thing looking like that. But yeah, that's all we got for today. Yeah, you don't. Just stop.
That's mean.
Stop it. It's bad out here.